What I wanted to say was that I do think that this is a team-based strategy that I think they've devised against Flash. I think psychologically speaking, I think they feel that they're inferior to Flash when it comes to his mechanics and that they cannot go toe-to-toe with him. As you're seeing that Hiya is struggling to do in this game, even though he now seems to be in a decent position, but Flash, I feel, is in a much stronger position. But I think that they feel they can't cope with Flash on a toe-to-toe battle, and I'm sorry for rambling here so long, World Trap, but that is why we saw 4GG in his game go straight, not try to get a command center or expansion up anytime, just try to kill Flash before Flash could get his economy going. And we saw Hiya do something very similar with those two starports. And obviously Flash was caught off guard the first time because he didn't anticipate his opponent to commit so wholeheartedly to that rush. This time he was prepared for it, getting a scout in earlier, and obviously the map and the cross-map positions made a difference. So I'm starting to think that it really is a psychological thing that Lecaf don't believe they can beat Flash straight up, and I think maybe Flash knows it too.
It's interesting. I'm not sure. I've been wondering. I wonder if they didn't send in Jaedong for a particular reason, or if they don't think that he can beat Flash, or something like that along the same lines. I don't know. That's something to think about. I wanted to note though, it's interesting. Hiya has managed to hold off Flash's macro, and Hiya there, this is his first-person view. He has put up a lot of bases in the meantime as well, actually. I think he's managed to even things up with Flash. You can see there he's putting up, I think that command center we just saw him place down in his first-person view mode will tie things up in command centers. And this is pretty ridiculous, actually. I've only seen maybe once before where every base on this map was taken. Oh, Flash going in, losing one dropship rather, before he gets that drop off. And he is going to be able to get that drop off though, so not too much damage done. But now Hiya moving out in the middle here. I think Hiya has superior forces, but Flash is more entrenched, so it's going to be more difficult for Hiya to break into this entrenched position with his tanks already sieged up, and it looks like it's going to end up at a kind of a stalemate there. But now, in the meantime, though, Flash has dropped his troops into Hiya's territory in the back, and is going to be able to run in there and do some damage to those expansions that were kind of in the periphery of Hiya's base. And now he's going in for another attack on the other side of things. Hiya, in the meantime, taking out one of Flash's bases as well. So this is turning into a crazy battle of who can kill off the other first and who can defend and attack at the same time. And this is going to be an incredible feat of multitasking for whoever does win out of this thing. And I think if Flash is on top of his game, he is one of the best multitaskers possibly ever in the game of, well, definitely ever in the game of StarCraft. So if he's on top of his game, I would put him to win out in this multitasking and macro game against Hiya. But Hiya putting up a darn good fight and meeting Flash pretty well, taking out Flash's bases, although not quite as many as Flash is taking out. I think Flash just took out 3 of Hiya's bases, and Hiya took out 1 of his. So again, the macro game is still looking kind of bad for Hiya.
Yeah, Flash completely wiping the floor with Hiya in that exchange there, and it's all down to Flash's genius of his positioning, because he's got that big choke defended in the center of the map, and what he did was, he went in with the dropships first to draw Hiya's forces out of his defensive posture, so he dropped in that base, and with that one drop, even though he lost a dropship, and that's why I was wondering why Flash was willing to sacrifice it, because Hiya didn't have anything to defend that 1 o'clock base, so with that one drop, Flash was able to take out the 1 o'clock base and the 2 expos off that base, so he was able to take out simultaneously 2 bases, and now he's sieging the expo at the 12 o'clock position of Hiya's as well from the cliff above it, so he's really got value for money from that drop. And Hiya, when he saw Flash go for that drop, he responded by pushing all of his ground forces out, hoping that Flash would have have a weakened defense, because Flash would have committed himself to that drop, but Flash only dropped about 4 dropships worth of unit, and his main defense, his main point of defense was not too far outside of his own choke, and Flash willingly sacrificed the expansion just north of his base by keeping his defense slightly back. He allowed Hiya to take that base, but what he did was he drew Hiya's units into that entrenched position where he had a strong defense, and meanwhile sent another pronged attack up the left-hand side of the map and took out Hiya's bases on the western perimeter. So Hiya really is now reeling, and his economy is toast. And you can just see, if you can see the mini-map, you can see how this game is now changed, where Hiya has no bases, and in fact Hiya is GGing. So Flash executing a perfect 3-pronged strategy and showing that he's still a contender, and that will have done his confidence a world of good. And you can see how ecstatic he is there.
Yeah, definitely. He deserves this, especially again after losing to 4GG, who sucks at Terran versus Terran, and now coming back to win a very tough game against Hiya, who is a lot better at Terran versus Terran, and taking the match for his team. And I want to mention also, by the way, Lakef and KTF both in the top 4 spots, both in the running for the playoffs, and it is an extremely close Pro League season right now, so every game counts. This is a huge win. Basically, either team losing might end up, losing the playoffs for them because things are so close. There's the top 4 and 5 and 6, positions 5 and 6 in the standings are extremely close, and a few wins and a few losses would make them able to overtake them. So with this win, basically KTF almost clinching their playoff spot. So this was a huge win for his team, in fact, and actually a huge loss for Lakef, because now they're going to have to win both of their remaining matches in order to even have a chance at making sure they stay in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the reason why Lakef didn't send Jaedong out is they anticipated KTF would send Flash out, and they felt they had a counter strategy to Flash and that they had beaten Flash. But Flash, showing his championship nature there, showing his champion form and his inner champion, letting it out and producing the goods on the day. I think he obviously realized what they were trying to do against him. He anticipated it well this time, and obviously the map was a little bit more conducive to his strategy, and it worked out better for him. But really, you could see the difference there in terms of his decision making and his macro and his mechanics being far superior to that of Hiya. At the start, when he was killing Hiya's dropships, and you could just see his decision making all the time, using his Goliaths. Even though he was losing the ground battle, he was focusing Hiya's dropships down every single time once his contain failed, and that allowed him to equalize that. The advantage that Hiya had from the mobility, and then re-establish a foothold. But it really was a back and forth game. There were points in time where either player seemed dominant. At first, it looked like Hiya was going to have the jump on Flash with his raids, and then Flash had the contain. Then Hiya broke the container, had superior ground force and the mobility, and eventually Flash just macroed his way to victory. So, great play by Flash. You can see though that teams and players are starting to crack his strategies a little bit, and that he's going to have to be on his toes and adapt if he wants to stay top of the game and top of the league. But I almost, unfortunately, there's no option to vote for ace games when it comes to commentaries of the week. But I think this game definitely would have merited.
Yeah, definitely. And excuse me, I do also feel a little bit better about Flash versus Lomo in the MSL coming up, because after watching him versus 4GG, I was like, oh no, this is going to be horrible. If he loses to Lomo, that would suck pretty bad. We need to see him in a epic rematch finals with Jaedong in the MSL. But so this makes me feel a lot better. I think he does still have it in him. He hasn't completely lost his confidence, and I think that is going to be a real big addition to his confidence going into his matches versus Lomo. So looking forward to some all-star play from Flash from that. All right, so again, this is a dual commentary from triple commentary from Moletrap, Klazart, and the bad imitation of Diggity signing off.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. And I think Diggity's going to regret the fact that he chose his gay date over this game, but that was his choice.
Thanks for listening.